Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, the all-in-one website builder for your blog, portfolio, or online business, all in one place, all on your own terms. So I've been drawing every day since the start of 2024, along with completing one personal digital painting project a week. And this is what I've learned so far. As I talk about my experience with this challenge, I'm going to be showing all my sketches and speed paints from this month. So this daily and weekly habit was mainly a selfish habit I wanted to develop again after not really drawing as much lately, and I just really love drawing in my free time. I find it really fulfilling personally, and the act of drawing tends to be something that's really therapeutic and calming most of the time. I do have some times of frustration when something isn't turning out right, but deep down I still really love the challenge of figuring things out. Visual problem solving just sucks me in, and it kind of turns into almost like an obsession, and I think it's been that way since my first sketchbook when I was 10 years old or something. I just love it. And it's also a sort of extreme reaction against how little I painted and created artwork in 2023. So if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Shay. I started my journey to becoming a full-time artist who makes videos online last year. And while I found a lot of business growth in posting frequently and running an online shop and, building all those various income streams for my career, I found that I spent so much of my time packing orders, making Instagram reels, and trying to post weekly to my YouTube, and ending up not doing the thing that everything else is built on top of, aka the art. I'm an artist, I make art. It takes so much time researching how to run a business and setting everything up by yourself. If you're in this phase right now, I hope you're doing well. It's definitely not easy. So because of that, my art, I think it ended up suffering last year. And yeah, my accounts grew a lot and I'm now able to do this full time, which I'm extremely thankful for, but my skills had gotten rusty and I started to burn out a little bit by the end of the year. So yeah, this habit is like a breath of fresh air, and it's bringing so much more joy to my daily life and definitely helping my artistic career and creativity as a whole. Speaking of creativity, I think drawing every day has made thinking of new ideas and designing my characters so much more easier. I think just the simple act of doodling and getting your hand moving daily makes it easier to get into more of a frequent creative flow state, which is the best feeling ever. If you've ever gotten into that kind of meditative, everything is turning out right, it's like a movie, each stroke is perfect and you're just having a lot of fun and the time just seems to fly by. Last year I felt like it took me a couple hours each drawing session to finally feel warmed up and ready to create. But I think since I've made it a daily habit to keep the ball rolling and steadily building momentum, it takes me a lot less time to get into that flow state and make effective progress on whatever I'm working on at the time. My current habit or routine with this whole daily drawing thing is that I do some figure drawing from photo reference and also from imagination to warm up my hand and to keep my anatomy skills sharp. I do a lot of figurative work, character work, so I think having a really strong anatomy knowledge is definitely helpful in designing characters and drawing them a lot. And I definitely still need some improvement in some areas, but I've always found figure drawing a fun and natural way to warm up. I just love drawing people. So after figure drawing, I typically doodle some things from imagination too to get the creative juices flowing before hopping into an actual project. And this typically means I look up this one prompt generator that's basically just a sentence where it gives you a pose to try and illustrate. So it'll give a sentence standing with one hand on your hip and a leg out and looking to the left or something like that. It'll give you stuff like that, and the act of visualizing that in your mind and creating something from imagination based on what you know about anatomy and the structure, how you structure figures, I find that's kind of a level up, a step up from just doing figure drawing. And it really helps if you want to get into more character work and more drawing from imagination. And if I don't do that prompt generator thing, usually it's just I just want to draw one of my characters, so I'll just take original character of mine and just doodle a scenario of them, I don't know, writing a letter or baking something where there's an action going on. And if I really want to be crazy, then I'll just draw two characters together interacting, and that's a really fun challenge. I'm still not that great at drawing character interactions, but it's a really good warm-up, and it really gets like your mind like flowing with ideas and just gets that like creative energy going and your imagination warmed up. So this all typically takes around like 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes more or less due to how long I actually have to work on my projects that day. And this whole like warm-up session, sometimes I have the opportunity to spend the whole day just like making art. So this typically happens in the morning, but more often than not, I end up doing this in the afternoon or most likely the evening. So maybe like sometime after dinner or after I like stop working, I'll bring out like my drawing references and start doing my warm-up so I can spend the rest of the evening drawing and working on my bigger projects. And some days I even just only have time to do warm-ups, or like I only have time to just like, I don't know, doodle, because it's not realistic to spend like 4 hours or 5 hours on your art every single day if you have like other things to work on. So it's kind of like a varying frequencies of intensity, and I think that works most sustainably to me. But most of the time I really try and do like this warm-up before I get into things, or just do this warm-up on its own if I don't have that much time to draw. Moving on, that was kind of a tangent, but it made me doing like this, like these continual warm-ups and keeping my like brain active and ready to create, it made me more confident with tackling bigger projects that I was avoiding, probably because I just never felt like I was in the right creative mindset to do them, or never felt ready. I ended up finally making a character design of one of my OCs, like a whole sheet, and looking back, even though I would change some of the design now and add some things, I remember being so excited to work on it every evening after I finished my work for the day, and just really enjoying the process of painting and designing a character I really cared about. And I hadn't felt that way in such a long time. It kind of reminded me of coming home from school and hurrying to get my homework done so I could draw, because I was so excited with the ideas I had. I think that feeling is really magical, and time seems to melt away and anything seems possible through just drawing. And that's just such a special feeling. And I'm so happy that this like routine drawing setup and just keeping my hands moving has gotten me closer to mimicking that feeling on like a more regular basis. The downside of this is that now I have the opposite issue of having too many ideas and not knowing how I'm gonna get them all done within the time that I have. And with that, I added an extra habit of creating a full illustration a week, as I mentioned before at the beginning of this video. This goal has helped me have a focus with my art each week, and it's slowly helping me to build my portfolio and get me closer to figuring out what type of art career I want. I've been compiling all of these images and building my portfolio website with Squarespace, who just so happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Nothing is more satisfying than finishing a new piece and adding it to my portfolio. I love doing it. And with Squarespace, you can customize how your projects look through their Fluid Engine drag and drop design system. I can add text, titles, images, and even add gallery blocks of my latest Instagram post to boost more traffic to my social media sites. You can host your online shop and enable extensions like TaxJar, and even integrate your site with QuickBooks to stay on top of your money management for the upcoming tax season, and end up saving more time for making art, which is what we're all about this year. Squarespace also has the ability to offer memberships and even host an online course to build out your income streams as a creative and allow you to keep on creating while providing your audience with valuable knowledge and insight to your creative process. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/sketchesofshay to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using my code sketchesofshay. Thank you to Squarespace for continuing to sponsor the channel, and as always, thank you, dear viewer, for continuing to watch my videos so that I can continue to get more sponsors like these. Along with loving to draw and wanting to boost my creativity, I'm always looking to improve my art and concepts and continue to challenge myself. And with this daily drawing and weekly illustration goal, I was hoping it could lead to my art improving, and I'm happy to say it's paid off already. And this doesn't just mean technical drawing or painting skills. I'm mainly talking about storytelling through composition and design, and pretty much overall creative intuition when developing a piece. With continually fostering better creative habits, I'm much more confident and deliberate when I'm drawing and painting, making my pieces more focused and in turn, and in my opinion, more successful and clear. I didn't really like the first painting I made this year, and now after 4 weeks of finished projects, it feels so much less overwhelming, and I feel like I have so much more direction with what I'm making. I can have really advanced technical rendering and drawing skills and just knowledge of how to draw, but if there's no clear idea, story, or intention with what I'm doing with my art, I feel like the piece ends up feeling stale and boring, like my week 1 illustration. In my opinion, that feels boring to me. But if I clearly lay out my intentions, the story behind what I'm creating, and having a purpose for a piece, it's so much more valuable to me, and I think it's more valuable to the viewer. More of a connection is built between myself and my art, and that connection is later felt in the viewer as well. And that's partially the reason why I create, to feel connected and to express stories that others can be connected to as well. So the first piece, I was inspired by the mix of seasons. I was really over the cold weather and wanted to depict something bright and warm in the midst of this cold snap that was happening, and it turned out fine, but it didn't entirely match my vision for what I wanted it to be. So it was back to the drawing board, and I chose my week 4 to actually rework the piece. I really wanted to improve the composition, so I began to dissect what areas were working and what areas weren't. And I found that my shape hierarchy wasn't really working, and the objects, the oranges in the trees, seemed uncoordinated and messy and just weren't working. So I began to draw out a lot of different iterations of the same composition. I compiled a whole Pinterest board of inspiration and ideas for what and how I wanted to change things. I feel like the researching and planning part of a painting is so important, and I used to think most people just sketched out a couple thumbnails and just went right into painting and getting it perfect. I know that some people do follow this method, and that just works with how their mind works. Usually, and a lot of professionals do this just because they had so much practice doing it. But for me, it just takes a little more time to explore options, and I honestly just really enjoy the whole research and sketching process. And I think I've always been inspired by the Golden Age illustrators like J.C. Leyendecker, of course, Dean Cornwall, and Norman Rockwell, and they always had a ton of studies and iterations of a painting project before the final piece, and I really want to emulate that with my projects currently. And as I'm writing the script, I'm still working on the piece, and this video will be posting the 2nd of February, so the final may not make it in this video, but it's probably up on my Instagram if you want to go check it out. That's week 1 and week 4. So my week 2 illustration project was a concept of a fantasy artist's workplace. I wanted to make it a little more interesting through putting it into a fantasy context. And I was also wanting to update my channel banner, so the goal was to kind of match the vibe of my channel. I was going for cozy, warm, a little messy, but with the art being the focus. And I thought it was funny that the painting in this gouache painting is literally the object of focus in the painting. So I think it turned out really cute. Once again, I think it could have benefited from a little bit more planning with the objects and maybe a little bit more practice with using gouache since it was a traditional piece, but I still like it. It turned out cute. The week 3 illustration was actually a character design project of one of my cowboy original characters, Strawberry Saul. I designed his outfit, color scheme, digitally painted, I think 3 poses, drew an expression sheet, painted a headshot, and included a render of his hat and sword. I don't want to reveal too much about this project because next week I am releasing a character design video walking through my entire process, so make sure to subscribe to see that one, but I think it turned out pretty good. There's definitely a lot of things that I would change, but it was very satisfying seeing everything come together at the end, and it was just really fun to work on. So I just enjoyed the process a lot. The end result is just it is what it is, but the process is really enjoyable. And then week 4 is a revisit of week 1. Like I said, as I'm writing the script and now doing the voiceover, I just started reworking, and I just finished the drawing aspect, and last night I just started the actual painting process. So hopefully there's a speed paint on screen of how it's going, and I'm definitely feeling a lot better about the direction of how it's going and enjoying the process overall. And my last takeaway from this whole drawing everyday experience, I think another benefit of creating more work more often is building out my portfolio and really figuring out what I want to focus on. I think I graduated college not really knowing what I wanted to do, and my portfolio reflected that. I went to a public university. My major of drawing and illustration was kind of a unclear or like undefined major structure, which meant I'd pretty much done everything under the sun. I had digital illustration, traditional portrait paintings, character designs, environment paintings. I dabbled a little bit into concept art. It was kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none situation. Although I think I excel best in my digital painting skills, and ultimately, I don't regret doing all of that experimentation in college. I think it's really crucial to explore things as an artist, especially a young artist, and find what works best for you. And it was great to have direct feedback from professors about my work at the time. After watching tons of critique sessions and portfolio reviews here on YouTube, I learned that having a specialty and focus is a lot easier to understand as an employer and truly allows you to showcase the full amount of your skill in one area. And it doesn't really make sense to include still life paintings in a character design portfolio unless maybe you're designing a teapot or something, but it's just best to keep things concise and focused. And after my experience this month creating every week, I really want to focus on single narrative digital paintings with some character design on the side to add some context to my standalone paintings, because it's really fun to design stuff and like make official character sheets of my OCs. It's definitely very self-indulgent, and I really had so much fun with my character design project this month, which included a lot of digital painting and illustration work. And I guess I'm kind of sort of in like a concept art path for my own stories, which is really fulfilling, and it's also been like a great exercise in world building and character development. So yeah, I think like illustration and concept art is what I'm really going to lean into the next couple of months. Overall, I think I just want to be consistent with this focus. I think I have a bit of artist ADHD where I'm always tempted to get back into comic work or hop back into fine art and painting, or maybe dabble in a little bit of animation, but I feel like I can still infuse those loves for different mediums into my digital painting, and I can always change my focus in the future if I really want to. It's really tempting to do everything all the time, but I think it's a good challenge to have for myself personally to stay in one place and really develop my skills in one area and just really enjoy the process and find a workflow that works for me. To anyone else out there trying to figure themselves out as an artist or a creative, I think it's ultimately really important to just the old saying of know thyself and really listen to what you want to do and just jump in and make the stuff regardless of your skills or experience. And as I'm learning this year, I think knowing yourself comes from experience of working on projects and figuring out your creative process and how you think and finding what inspires you. What's working for me is drawing or doodling every day and making an effort to finish a project every week. I think for me, it's a perfect amount of a challenge balanced with what is doable for me to accomplish frequently, and that could work for you or not. But I think it's worth it to yourself to invest the time and effort into figuring out your creative habits so that you can make the art that you really want to make this year and get you closer to whatever art goal that you have. I hope this video gave you a bit of insight into my current creative process and maybe motivated you or helped you with your own creative habits. I love hearing how other artists think, what their habits are as a creative. So if you have a creative routine that works for you and the art that you make, please leave a comment down below. I can't wait to read them. And if you are curious, yes, I will be continuing the daily art and weekly illustration challenge, and I'm honestly kind of maybe considering bumping it up if I find things are getting a little too easy, but I don't know, maybe I'll just take on like bigger projects and that'll satisfy my need to tackle more challenging things. I plan to continue to make monthly update videos like this, so if you want to come along for the journey and see how my art develops this year along with some other art content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And you can follow me on Instagram for more more art posts and updates if you're interested. I'm hoping to post more regularly on there, but I recently have been allergic to going on Instagram lately, so no promises. But I do post my daily drawings most of the time to my story almost every day. So if you want to see that, you can go check that out. And big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the channel. A reminder to go to squarespace.com/sketchesofshay to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using my code sketchesofshay. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in next week's video. It's a big character design video I've been working on for a bit. So yeah, hope to see you there. Bye.